Story 1. There are no countries where women are legally or socially inferior to men. Obviously, that's one of a million things we desperately need, but if I had ultimate power right now, the first thing I would do is destroy women-suppressing regimes globally. Conditions can only improve from there. Story 2. Single-ply toilet paper is outlawed. Anyone caught manufacturing or harboring single-ply toilet paper is going to face serious consequences. I don't care who you idolize or who you sleep with, but if I have to rip off 30 individual squares to wipe in a public restroom, then you're going to face repercussions. Story 3. Surprised this isn't higher, but I would put an end to all activity that is detrimental to our environment, especially our fresh water. Our natural environment would be granted rights just like people. Story 4. Disallow corporate ownership of residential property. No income tax below $200,000 per year. Scale to 99% at over $10 million per year. There are no tax credits, deductions, or loopholes. When it's taxed, it's gone, and that's it. Disallow the transfer of corporate assets by politicians. No sale of business, stocks, bonds, or equity. All firearm ownership requires state and fee-funded training, licensing, and proof of proper storage. Police are now held to the highest moral and legal standards of all, not the lowest. Teaching will become one of the highest-paying jobs and recognized as one of the most valuable for the betterment of society. Universal healthcare. Universal dental care. Universal mental health care. Universal eye care. Universal and guaranteed food assistance for those below $100,000 per year. Universal basic income for those below $50,000 per year, up to the amount that it takes to get them to that income level. Universal subsidized primary and higher education, specifically for marketable degrees that are in demand. Flat corporate tax rate. Internet is a utility and a right. Force frequent liquidation of extreme hoarded wealth that is taxed to fund all aforementioned programs. Tax companies that engage in mass automation, not enough to discourage it, but also to fund all the aforementioned programs. To each according to their need, from each according to their ability. Everyone has the right to live a productive life for the betterment of society as a whole, and it doesn't require that they be controlled. Automatic and universal vote registration. Voting is a civic duty but not a crime to refuse. Voting days are holidays and ranked choice voting by popular vote with no middlemen. Story 5. Death penalty for all people who hide recipes online under numerous ads and lengthy pages of their uninteresting life stories. Anyone who doesn't use their turn signal while driving will be punished publicly. Work camps for people who let their dogs bark outside all night long. Reduce taxes. Story 6. I believe that in order to attain this position, all who resisted my will have already been suppressed or exterminated. Keep up with that. Then maybe some lunch. See to it. Then I would go for a walk. Story 7. Religion is a choice. No one can be compelled to adhere to any religious beliefs. Religion will have absolutely no influence over government or legal decisions. Story 8. No corporate chief executive officer or other corporate officer may make an annual salary, including bonus, stock, and options, etc., more than 100 times the salary of the lowest paid full-time employee. Story 9. Outlaw circumcision. Outlaw slavery. Religion is no longer tax-exempt. Start a process to bring clean water to everyone. Install solar panels on unused, unowned land like empty deserts. Everyone gets the right and access to education. Story 10. 3-day work week, universal health care, equality for all, 100% wage transparency, end world hunger, no one homeless ever. Also, no more billionaires anywhere. Redistribute wealth. Focus on kindness and values that actually matter. Story 11. To dismantle the regime and put power back into the hands of the electorate. One of the great lies spread by leaders is that you need to solve someone else's problems in order to address your own. Sure, the world is complex and more interconnected than ever, but the solution of putting one man in charge of everything will be far more pernicious and destructive than any of the relatively small conflicts we see in the world today. A policy which is accepted and popular in California won't be in Kandahar and vice versa. Story 12. This thread proves most of us would be quite happy imposing our will on others despite their opinions to the contrary. We are all would-be Maos, Hitlers, or Stalins. We just vary in who we would subjugate and what liberties we would take from others. Story 13. The human rights to life, liberty, and property will be respected by all officials everywhere, and the citizenry will be held accountable for infringing on those same rights when they abuse those around them. Story 14. Anyone worth over $500 million pays 95% of their total income from any source in taxes. Below that, it's a graduated scale down to $100,000. The money will be used for health care for everyone and food and housing for the homeless. Story 15. Hospitals cannot refuse treatment of someone in need, and patients cannot be given lower priority due to insurance reasons. That's the first thing. We will figure out the money and the rest later. Story 16. Almost all laws are to be determined by the individual state or province, with very few exceptions. Addendums to this are: 1. The state must do everything in its power to provide a phone, electricity, water, and a healthy and proportioned food supply, not food stamps, but actual food, for those who live 10% above the poverty level or less. The only exception to this is that the incarcerated may not have a phone until earned, but they will get their own living space. Necessities, rent, all grown or bred food, utilities, etc., must be priced to be affordable to anyone at the poverty level. Laws may neither prevent nor enforce victimless actions. This will be exhaustively and actively updated on a daily basis. Omnibus bills are abolished and forbidden. They cannot be drafted or presented for consideration. All bills must be presented online for 365 days, visible to the public, before they can be passed. During the time they are online, the public may vote on them via an online service. Individual accounts will be tied to the individual's identity to prevent fraud. However, votes themselves cannot be tied back to the voter, i.e., what you voted for is anonymous, but you can only vote for laws in the region you live in, and fake votes are not possible. Schools are required to collaborate with neighboring schools to ensure a collective curriculum and are funded at the federal level. Religion or anti-religion of any sort is banned, and anything related to sexuality outside of individual student expression that does not encroach on or restrict another's personal space or identity is banned. Staff will adhere to a localized uniform policy. Staff may not discuss religion, sexuality, or political topics while on duty. Prisons will become a combination of school and industry. Every individual capable of autonomous movement and possessing functional mental facilities will have a job, which will pay the United Terra minimum wage, equivalent to the poverty level. They do not get physical access to or fully autonomous use of their funds. The funds are divided three ways. A portion goes to savings in an account that will appreciate, another portion goes to their care, with an itemized list provided to the individual to show exactly where each penny went, and any remainder goes into the aforementioned savings account. The third portion goes into a spending account. The individual may spend this however they wish from a curated commissary store. The commissary store must be revamped and fairly comprehensive. Food will be priced at poverty-level prices, and there will be a fair amount of decorative, leisure, fun, and enriching items available at minimal markup prices. The type of wares will be limited to the dollar amount of 1 month's pay at minimum wage, because at the first of the month, anything left in the account is moved to savings. Each individual will be required to choose one or more classes to attend and will work toward a degree or certification. The incarcerated individual's time will be efficiently planned during the week, divided between class and work with only 8 to 10 hours of downtime. They will have weekends and nearly all holidays off. Near the end of the incarcerated individual's sentence, they will begin to have sessions with an advisor who helps them buy or begin financing a car, start having interviews with outside employers, and find a place to buy or rent, as well as line up utilities. Newly freed persons will have functional careers, a car, a home, and a bank account, reducing culture shock and the chance of falling back into old ways. Almost none of the above is available to anyone who earns a life sentence, except that they will work and be given compensation. Life sentences can only be given when there is damning proof, and all involved understand that there is zero doubt about the guilt of the accused. In the rare event of undeniable and overwhelming proof with zero doubt about guilt, and a death sentence is given, the sentence is to be carried out immediately with no legal recourse for delay. Death sentencing requires multiple third-party investigations with zero conflict. The accused must be examined exhaustively by city, county, state, federal, and foreign United Terra investigators, and all must unanimously agree that the accused is without a doubt guilty. The condemned may choose immediate execution or exile to an unsurvivable location, where they will be fitted with a tracker and retrieved for burial upon death. Story 17. Universal healthcare at the same level of care. Human traffickers shall be sentenced to life, cleaning up after natural disasters, sewage, and any other undesirable job most people do not want to do. Those who willfully commit crimes against children shall be sentenced to counting the individual grains of sand in the Sahara Desert. They shall not be permitted to interact socially with any other living being for more than 24 hours per decade. Anyone who is caring for a living thing, including themselves, will take regular classes on how to do so well. Story 18. Misinformation is illegal, as well as the spreading of it. I'm sick of people falling for fake information but then not believing it when it's disproven. Story 19.1. Free and accessible healthcare, food, and education access to everyone. Every person who is in the top 1% of the wealth bracket must publicize their income and expenses. Divest from the military and spend more on infrastructure, roads, green energy, housing, and hospitals. Reinvest some money back into the humanities as a field of study. Better support system for orphans, disabled, elderly, and addicts. Humane prisons but stricter implementation of laws. Story 20. Death penalty for all kinds of littering. No one gets to have more than 100 million. After that, all income goes to the workers in your company. Install a Roman-style Senate, where 300 random citizens are summoned to be lawmakers every 2 years. Universal healthcare. Free education. Story 21. Free healthcare and living wages for everyone. Income-based taxes that require the ultra-rich to pay their fair share. Free public education mandates no private schools. Higher education is free as long as you maintain AB average and stay on track to graduate. I would enshrine equal rights laws for everyone regardless of race, gender, sexual orientation. I would implement environmental protections and impose significant fines on corporate polluters. Story 22.1. A much higher luxury tax. Removal of military forces that were in strategic positions in a conflict-riddled world but not necessary under one nation. Invest in technical infrastructure to provide high-speed internet across the world through satellite, in the same vein as the satellite internet provider Starlink, if not just accepting its work. Replacement of private prisons with public institutions that focus on rehabilitation and work as a network to transfer prisoners wherever is best suited for their rehabilitation needs. Investing as much money as possible into education for both adults and children, with a strong focus on encouraging learning a trade during the last 2 years of high school. Moving all government employees to a 6-hour workday, with pay remaining the same, to encourage working in the public sector, and attempting to influence parts of the private sector to follow suit. Story 23. If I were the dictator, I would have a weekly Spotify playlist that people can subscribe to just to see what kind of mood I am in that week. For the most part, I would probably be pretty scared to change anything, but I think I would do a lot of we're going to try this out for a short period of time just to see how it goes. Story 24. Make abortion legal. Marry whoever you want that is a consenting adult. Bom cigarettes. Legalize marijuana. Legalize sex work for consenting adults. Universal health care. Universal basic income. Free universities. Increase the minimum wage to reflect the states or regions according to people more financially literate than me. Eliminate religion. Story 25. All men will receive implants to prevent them from impregnating anyone, and those implants will not be removed until age 25, and after passing a strict mental evaluation to ensure they are not going to attempt impregnating any minors. Detailed sex education will be mandatory, starting in elementary school. Tax codes will be rewritten so that the top 10% pay 90% instead of the current opposite structure. Corporate landlords will be outlawed. And one must maintain primary residence to own rental property in any given city. Story 26. Oil is not car fuel or disposable plastic. It's a limited resource and will not be wasted. Rape is punished with death. I would invest a lot in clean energy engineering. Story 27. Declare war on any region that wages war on the planet. Start with water. Order the cleanup and regulation of any waterway that empties into the oceans. Spend money on researching the cheapest and safest way to purify water. Develop a standard for a combined power, waste disposal, and water purification plant, and build these worldwide to then make all purified water for the general public free and an obligation of the local governments to provide. Make corruption an actually serious offense. Oh, you caused 1,000 people to lose their homes? That's 10 years in prison. You actively embezzled the funds for a new school so you could spend it on drugs and prostitutes? That's life, you idiot. I will never pretend I have the solution to the planet's problems, but starting here I can set the tone that the planet is the priority, and I feel starting with these major issues would help calm things down enough to see where to go next. The bonus of Planet First is that with all the research into environmental controls, and planet manipulation would actually speed up the chances of us terraforming another celestial body. We can't think about terraforming another planet if we can't keep one that is perfect already functional. That's like thinking, my car's radiator has broken. Guess I'll just make a new car from scratch.